Welcome to Fearless with Jason Whitlock. I'm Jason Whitlock, your host. Happy Thursday. Thanks for joining me. Awesome show planned for you today. Start hitting that 5-star review on Apple. Hit the subscription, the likes on YouTube. We're going to talk sports today with Brett Favre, Warren Sapp, Steve Kim, TJ Moe is in studio with me. We're going to start, and we're going to bring Brett Favre in very shortly, but because we're going to start by talking about how all the pressure is on Lamar Jackson this weekend. There's no player left in these playoffs with more pressure on him than Lamar Jackson. And I say that affectionately, not wishing any harm on Lamar Jackson, but I say that affectionately because he's playing for what I believe to be one of the all-time great teams. And I know they have 4 losses, and most of the teams with 4 losses are never considered in that stratosphere. I think this Baltimore team is. I think that the 17-game schedule mixed with how much money these guys make, we're never going to see, I don't believe, any more 16-1 teams or 17-0 teams or even 15-2 teams. I think it's very unlikely, very hard. Players make too much money. There's too many games. They take weeks off. And quite frankly, as it relates to Lamar and the Baltimore Ravens playing in that AFC North, you just can't come out of that unscathed. There's too much rivalry, too much history. Too long as Mike Tomlin is in that conference or in that division with John Harbaugh, these guys know each other too well. 2 of Baltimore's losses are to the Pittsburgh Steelers and Mike Tomlin, and that's because Mike Tomlin and John Harbaugh know each other in their sleep. And there's just too much physical history in that league for anybody to go through it undefeated. But I think the gap between Baltimore and the rest of the NFL is really significant this year. They've blown out a lot of really good teams by 2 touchdowns or more. I think their losses are all to teams with winning records. This is, and it'll never get recognized because they have 4 losses, but I think over time, smart people will realize this is one of the great teams ever put together. Physical on both sides of the ball, offense and defense, physical with that running game, physical in stopping the run, great special teams. You got to know John Harbaugh came up as a special teams coach. This is a complete football team. We need to enjoy it. But in saying that, and with them hosting the Kansas City Chiefs in Baltimore, Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson's got to get it done. Because if it doesn't happen this year, Lamar's reputation as someone that doesn't get it done in the playoffs is going to be similar to what Peyton Manning's was in college football. Great player, couldn't win the national championship. Got to the NFL, struggled in big games early. Lamar, I'm not comparing Lamar just yet, and now he's going to, and the Peyton Manning comparison is actually pretty good because Peyton won a lot of MVPs and only won 2 Super Bowls, and in one of those Super Bowls, he got carried to the Super Bowl title. And so Lamar, a lot of pressure. This is, I think, year 6 for Lamar. So we're going to talk about that with Brett Favre and Warren Sapp and TJ Moe will chime in. I just wanted to set the table for what our discussion was. For 10 years, Patriot Mobile has been America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. And when I say only, trust me, they're the only one. Glenn Story and the team have been great supporters of this show, which is why I am proud to partner with them. Patriot Mobile offers dependable nationwide coverage, giving you the ability to access all 3 major networks, which means you get the same coverage you've been accustomed to without funding the left. When you switch to Patriot Mobile, you're sending the message that you support free speech, religious freedom, the sanctity of life, the Second Amendment, and our military veterans and first responders. Their 100% U.S.-based customer service team makes switching easy. Keep your number, keep your phone, or upgrade. Their team will help you find the best plan for your needs. Just go to patriotmobile.com/Jason or call 972-PATRIOT. Get free activation when you use the offer code JASON. Join me. I made the switch more than a year ago. Completely satisfied. PatriotMobile.com/Jason. That's PatriotMobile.com/Jason. Or call 972-PATRIOT. All right, fun slinger Brett Favre next. Because while they have you in that prison cell, while they have you in your prison system, they then strip your sexuality or rearrange your sexuality. They change your cultural norms.
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
They get you on board with the five families, the feminist movement, the LGBTQIA+.
What does LGBTQ plus mean? Like, is it the premium version of gay?
The BLM movement.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
They get you on board with all of that while you're rotting in a prison cell, hoping that your bunkmate doesn't violate your rear end.
Paul! Hey, ladies, how's it hanging? I'm gonna say something to him.
All right, welcome back. Time for one of the greatest players in NFL history, friend of the show. Not a Taylor Swift fan, I don't think, but we'll find out. I'll save that question for the end. Brett Favre, welcome back to the show. Brett, I want to start by talking about the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah.
I have this belief that I think we're looking at an all-time great team. Can't see it because they have 4 losses. They play in the AFC North. I think it's that too familiar in that league, particularly with Harbaugh and Tomlin, as long as they've been there. On both sides of the ball, I think Baltimore is great. They've blown out a lot of great teams. What do you think of my theory that if they win this, finish up this run, win the Super Bowl, they could be regarded as an all-time great team, even though they have 4 losses this season?
No, I definitely agree with you. Obviously, they got to win out, or we're not having this conversation. But you know, I totally agree with you. But to me, what's so surprising is how they've kind of flown under the radar. You know, and maybe that's been a good thing for them. Less distractions, but Lamar Jackson's playing, you know, unbelievably great. Their defense has always been stingy, but they're really playing very, very good football right now. And offensively, Todd Monken, who I know pretty well, used to be the head coach here at Southern Miss, has done a great job of scoring points and being diverse, allowing Lamar to do what he does best and be a dual threat. Probably in all of his years of playing NFL football, I think this is the most complete we've seen of Lamar Jackson.
It really is. He does seem complete, but I'm not sure. I go back to some San Francisco teams with Joe Montana and Steve Young that were great on offense and great on defense. A lot of time, you know, the Reggie White Packers team and yourself, that's great on offense, great on defense. There's very, you know, the Chicago Bears obviously were carried by their defense, the '85 Bears. The Ray Lewis Baltimore Ravens carried by their defense. It's very rare to see greatness on both sides of the ball. And that's not a good setup for this next question, but you're the perfect person to ask this next question that I wasn't really planning, but it just crossed my mind. When I look at the Green Bay franchise and what you established and handed off to Aaron Rodgers, and now I'm looking at Jordan Love, and it's like you and Aaron Rodgers established, and you could probably include Bart Starr, but you and Aaron Rodgers established a level of greatness at that position in Green Bay that I think Jordan Love wants to live up to. And I'm going to connect this long-winded way of connecting it to the Baltimore Ravens. When I look at the Baltimore Ravens, I feel like Ray Lewis and Ed Reed's influence is still over that organization, and that anybody that comes in there to play defense in Baltimore says, man, I got to live up to this Ray Lewis, Ed Reed standard. The same way when someone puts on that Green Bay helmet and playing quarterback, they think, I got to live up to that Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers standard. Do you think you and Rodgers left that kind of legacy in Green Bay, and we're seeing the same thing on the defensive side in Baltimore?
Well, I'm not going to say that. I don't know if that's for me to say. I just know that I did my best, gave it all I had, handed the keys to Aaron, and he took it and ran with it. And Jordan looks like he's well on his way to being a great quarterback. In regards to Baltimore, I have thought the same thing for years. Like Ray, Ed Reed, Adelius Thomas, we can name numerous other
Terrell
players. Suggs, that sort of loom over that defense. There's a mystique with that defense. Like, I don't want to be on the first defense for the Ravens that gives up X number of points per game or ranks last in the league, whatever. I think that when you sign with the Ravens and you're a defensive player, especially linebacker or safety, there's a certain level of responsibility that sort of looms over you. I feel it. I sense it. I think most people could say the same thing.
Yeah, I think there's something to it. The Steelers had it going on with linebackers for year after year after year. The Steel Curtain, Jack Ham, Jack Lambert established something that resonated for 30, 40 years. Yeah. It's amazing the impact you could have as a great player, and it can loom. Brett, there's a lot of rumors that this could be Andy Reid's final season coaching in the NFL. I don't buy it because I just can't see Andy Reid walking away from the best quarterback in the league who's in his prime right now and probably has 8 more seasons of being in his prime. Could you see Andy Reid, maybe if they win a Super Bowl or regardless of what happens in these playoffs, could you see Andy Reid hanging it up?
Yes and no. Andy and I are really close. We don't talk in detail about, things like that. But, in one side of the coin, you could say, what is there left to do as a coach? The other side is, what am I going to do after? Now, Andy's always been a great family person. They have a big family. I think that this is important. His family really enjoys the fact that Andy's the coach and a successful coach. So I think that plays a big part too in staying or not staying. I could see either, honestly. I sort of lean towards what you're leaning. I think he'll, nothing left to prove. What, in my opinion, you can let your guard down and just have fun. And Andy's that type of guy. He, the cliche of players coach. Andy is not going to be a big time ass ripper. I mean, he is not going to chew you out. But he has this way of getting the most out of you and demanding respect in a gentle way, if that makes sense. And so you love him. You love playing for him. there's no doubt you play for Andy Reid, you have a great chance of success as a team and as an individual. And as a coach, that's pretty cool. I mean, that'd be pretty cool to be Andy Reid, you know? So I think there's a chance that either could happen. But I think Andy right now is really just enjoying the ride. That's my feeling.
So you've already acknowledged and stated, like, he's not telling you what he's thinking, but if you had to speculate, do you think Andy cares about his legacy in the NFL? Because he actually has a shot to put his name in the conversation as greatest coach in NFL history.
Yeah.
Because he did it in Philadelphia. Not that he won a Super Bowl, but he had a lot of success, went to a Super Bowl. Donovan McNabb made him look like a Hall of Famer, helped Michael Vick get a second $100 million contract, had Alex Smith looking like an all-pro quarterback, and now he has Patrick Mahomes. And so if he were to win a fourth or fifth Super Bowl, he now gets in that conversation with Belichick and Bill Walsh. Do you think he cares about things like that?
Yes and no. I think as a player or as a coach in a competitive arena like football, what drives you? Success, winning. And as a coach, much like a quarterback, you're judged by playoff, Super Bowl, your leadership in that regard. And Andy certainly deserves all the accolades that come his way. And I think deep down inside, I don't think that that's what drives him. I think that he loves coaching. He loves mentoring these young guys. His expertise, surprisingly, as an offensive lineman at BYU, blocking for Jim McMahon. Who would have ever thought that Andy Reid would become a quarterback guru? But he was so instrumental in my success. And you just touched on it, all the quarterbacks and the teams that he's been successful with. How could that not mean something to you? Your legacy. I don't think that he's going to be waiting anxiously when that day comes when he retires to, where do I fit? Where do I fit? Tell me now. I think Andy is, speaks softly, carry a big stick type of guy.
You know, Brett, thinking about how unlikely he is offensive lineman, it made me think of a small little joke about if anybody ever saw my transcripts at Ball State, and if they ever interviewed this girl named Susan, I'm not going to say her last name because people will hunt her down, and because she wrote some papers for me. And if anybody, nobody would have thought that I would be a great sports writer of any note. So I'm just as unlikely as I've even surprised myself. Seriously, when I look back at how stupid I was, I'm amazed at what I've been able to accomplish. But thank God, and I say that sincerely.
I'm right there with you, Jason.
To me.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
So Brett, Brock Purdy, and we don't got to spend long on this, but it's just an interesting question. If you had to bet, and you got to make a choice here, Brett, if you had to bet $1 million, there's a lot of conversation about Brock Purdy. Is he great? Is he the quarterback of the future for the San Francisco? Is he being carried? Will Brock Purdy be San Francisco's starting quarterback in 2025 if you had to bet?
Yes. Yes. I think he's earned that right.
So you're a believer?
Yeah, I think he's earned that right. I think he's limited athletically, and he gets exposed a little bit with a lot of defensive pressure. But I think he handles himself very well. You know, you don't have to be. I mean, Joe Montana wasn't the strongest arm, wasn't the biggest, wasn't the strongest, wasn't the fastest, but damn, he was good. Brock Purdy can be that guy. Is he a Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson type of player? Absolutely not. I think he is a really good quarterback, great leader. The guys seem to love him and respond to him in the way as a coach or as a GM or the owner. You go, that's what I want to see. And unless he gets hurt, I see him coming back.
All right. I want to move on to Bill Belichick. Dan Wetzel wrote an interesting column. Like, Atlanta seems to be the only team interested in Bill Belichick. That's kind of shocking to me that teams seem hesitant to bring in Bill Belichick. And maybe it's a situation where an owner or a general manager, a team president, doesn't want to be overshadowed by the head coach or have more power or have their power diminished by the head coach. But are you surprised there wasn't, 2, 3, 4 teams just beating down the door, offering Bill Belichick whatever he wants to be their head coach?
In today's game, no. I'm not surprised a bit. I think Bill is a tremendous coach. I think the combination of he and Tom were virtually unstoppable. Who's to say which one had the biggest impact? I just think the combination of them were tremendously successful and almost unstoppable. That in itself, in today's game, is not enough to warrant, beating the door down and we want you as a. I think we're seeing it. The trend is going with the younger analytics. Almost like if you saw the movie Moneyball that Brad Pitt played, it almost seems like they're going with the young guy the groovy young guys that understand this generation. And, the days of Bill Parcells and Mike Ditka and Bill Belichick, Forrest Gregg and Tom
Saban.
Landry, Nick Saban, those days are over. I'd be shocked if they came back anytime soon, where you got a guy who's a hard-nosed guy that when they put the pads on in practice, we're fighting, we're hitting each other. Those days are over. It's someone who understands social media, someone that can relate to the players. It's just a different game now. And I'm not saying Bill can't adapt to it, but I think the overshadowing aspect of it too is a big part of it. Bill comes in, Bill wants all total control and quite frankly, to a certain extent, deserves it. Does an owner want to relinquish that? I don't think so.
So, Brett, I want to end on a more important note, particularly to NFL fans. Do you have a problem with Taylor Swift? I mean, are you not a Swiftie? I mean, what's the deal?
I don't have. It's funny. We talked about this on the show a week or so ago, and the question that you asked me was, "Is she a distraction?" If I'm right.
It wasn't me, Brett. You said it to someone else.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, whoever I said it to I was asked if she was a distraction, and I said no.
Yeah.
But if they lose, the fans may think she's a distraction. Lose this week or in the Super Bowl. I don't dislike Taylor Swift. I'm not judging her. That's the only question. And somehow it got construed that she was doing it to generate money or some. I don't know what, but the girl is super talented. She's made $1 gazillion. Seems like
Name
she
her
really
top
likes
5 songs, Brett. Name her top 5 songs right off the top of your head.
I'm gonna say I think there's one song that I know, "Shake It Off" or something.
Yeah. Oh, I'd bet everybody you wouldn't know one.
Oh, my daughters and their kids love her. Her road manager, I know it very, 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 very well, and is a great guy. And I have nothing but good things to say about her. Does that mean I go to her concerts? No. I don't go to anybody's concerts. I like to stay home. But
whoa. You're telling me if Adele came to Mississippi, you wouldn't take your wife and whole family to see Adele? Then you could get on my bad side here. Be careful with this.
I like Adele's music. I don't know if I would go see her. If the Gap Band, if Hall & Oates, if New Edition, if Kool and the Gang, if they all played here locally, I'm there. I'm there.
I think there may be some. Is you got a problem with white female singers, man? I mean, Taylor Swift and Adele. Who could be bigger than that? Name an Adele song.
I can hum it. Na, 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 na. I don't know. I like her though.
It's every time you answer the phone, you say an Adele song.
Hello. Yeah, you're right. You're right. But Lionel Richie also sang "Hello."
That's right. That's right.
I love some Lionel Richie, by the way.
Brett, thank you so much. Make sure the Swifties, when you hear this, isn't it at Brett Favre? I think if you're going to attack someone, leave me out of it. Attack Brett Favre. I don't love her. But I don't love her. I just love the cover of that album. It's called Fearless. Yeah. But I have struggled. The only song I know is Shake It Off.
Shake It Off and Bad Blood
each
have 3.3 billion views on YouTube.
Me and you probably have 150. Yeah, I've been getting all kinds of messages from people saying, "Oh, she gives away more money than you'll ever have." I don't care. I don't care. That's great for her. I really don't care. I'm content. It's all good. Travis likes her. She likes
you, Brett.
It's all good. It's all good, Jason.
I don't want to you're going to draw me into this Swiftie deal. Ciara's already come after me, or Sierra. Is it Sierra? Ciara, whatever. Anyway, I'm
Sierra.
Yeah, Sierra. Have you been testing your skills on Prize Picks this football season? It's the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Prize Picks is really simple to play. You can make your picks and submit your entry in less than 60 seconds. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, an enormous selection of players and stat types are what make Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. With basketball season here, you can now pick combo projections across football and basketball from the Specials League, a league created specifically for combo projections that includes 2 or more players from different sports or leagues. My mom, she likes to gamble, taught me how. She's got her Prize Picks for this week's weekend championship games, the AFC and NFC championship games. Jared Goff, more than 257.5 passing yards versus the 49ers. Patrick Mahomes, less than 245.5 passing yards versus the Ravens. I don't know about that, Mama. They're going to be forced to pass the ball. They're not going to. I don't like that pick, Mama. And then guess what? They got a free square for you. Christian McCaffrey. All he's got to do is get more than 0.5 yards rushing versus the Lions. They're giving you a pick, Mama. Good pick. That's the smart move, taking that. Go to prizepicks.com/fearless. Use the promo code fearless for a first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/fearless. Use our promo code fearless. Prize Picks. Daily fantasy sports made easy. We got to move on to my main man, Warren Sapp. I'm a little bit late. So don't go anywhere. Warren Sapp next. All right, y'all know what time it is. QB Killer time. Warren Sapp joining the show. One of the greatest defensive players of all time, and maybe the greatest former player talking about the NFL. Warren, we just had Brett Favre on, and Favre was seems to have a tiny bit of a problem with Taylor Swift. And so we wanted to know your position on Taylor. He doesn't care about Taylor Swift, so I want to put you in the same trick bag and get the Swifties upset with you. What's your take on Taylor Swift, her music?
No.
What?
Oh, I don't. You know what? You'd have to play something for me. I'm sorry. I am out of the music genre. This thing right here totes a lot of 90s music. You know what I'm saying? Sorry.
You telling me you and your old lady don't shake it off from time to time?
Hold on.
You know, just
Baby, you got some Taylor Swift? Nope. She got that either. She got that either. Nothing against the Swifties or whatever, because I heard that she puts on an amazing show. And if I ever get an opportunity to get a ticket, Taylor Swifties, the big fella come and rock with you. I ain't got no problem with good music. If it jams, it jams. I ain't got no problem with it. I played Daryl Hall and Oates the other day. That's in my playlist. Hall and Oates.
Yeah, Hall and Oates. Favre just mentioned them as one of his all-time favorite groups.
Yeah.
Who is your favorite? Like, if you were stranded on an island, whose album, if you could only take one, whose album would you take?
I'm taking Trick Daddy Dollar with me, baby.
You said what?
I'm taking Trick Daddy Dollar. I watched Trick leave the correctional facility and write his first album in front of me. So, based on a true story, will forever be my anthem in life. Now, outside of my homeboy, because that's love. That's my heart. If you tell him, I'm taking Biggie Smalls with me. I'm taking the big fella with me, always. Come on.
You're stranded on an island and you're taking rap music.
Yeah, because I need a little something to pick me up in the morning, and Biggie does that with a nice story. Who's this paging me at 5:46 in the morning? Crack a doning, now I'm yawning. What? Wipe the coal out my eye. See who's this. Come on, dog. Stop it. As a big man, you gotta love Biggie. Come on. And then Biggie, when he had the kids.
No, I was a Pac guy. In the Biggie versus Pac, I was a Pac guy.
Okay. No problem. I have no problem with Mr. Tupac Shakur. None.
But
who you taking on the island with you?
I'm taking R&B with me. I'm taking the Isley Brothers.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. But you ain't got nobody with you. Is that your you got a lot of lotion on this island or something with the Isley Brothers? I want something to get me up and going in the morning. I gotta build this island up, buddy. I gotta put up a sign, a flag, or build a fire. You never see Lost.
I'm taking Al Green. Al Green.
There ain't nothing wrong with Al Green. Now, Al Green go hard. Now,
Al Green's off the chains, and he does hard. Gospel music too. The Rev,
Al Green go hard.
The Rev can cover all the bases.
Hey, all of them. Now, Al Green. Now you know what? Now you talk about iconic legends that.
We taking someone down to put Al Green up on my wall here. I just that
gotta put Al Green
inspires
up.
Me.
Yeah, you gotta put
Taylor
Al Green
Swift's
up.
gone. Al Green's coming. The Rev. We're gonna put the Rev up.
Wait. You had Taylor Swift on the wall? No way. No way you had Taylor Swift on the wall.
She's got an album called Fearless. You've been to the studio. You've seen it's a little potpourri of everybody that. And I don't even know her music, but yeah.
You don't know the album and it's on your wall?
It's called Fearless. Someone else.
You what it's called.
We had a former assistant.
What it sound like?
What was her name? Jana. My first assistant. She knew the Taylor Swift, and it was called Fearless, and so she put it up there. Anyway, let me move on to. I'm costing us valuable football conversation time.
Come on.
I apologize. I want to play you a couple clips, contrasting Dan Campbell clips. I want to play you a clip from his first press conference when he got the job in Detroit, and I want you to tell me what you were thinking at that time. Play the clip.
This team's going to be built on. We're going to kick you in the teeth. All right. And when you punch us back, we're going to smile at you. And when you knock us down, we're going to get up. And on the way up, we're going to bite a kneecap off. All right. And we're going to stand up. And then it's going to take 2 more shots to knock us down. All right. And on the way up, we're going to take your other kneecap and we're going to get up, and then it's going to take 3 shots to get us down. And when we do, we're going to take another hunk out of you. Before long, we're going to be the last one standing.
So go back in time. Don't think about them being in the NFC Championship game right now. When you heard that, when he got hired, what were you thinking about Dan Campbell?
I was like, is this all going to happen in one play or after the whistle? Because the average NFL play is around 6 seconds long. So I was wondering, what would the referee going to be doing when all this hitting and swinging and biting and, blood? Because when a kneecap come off, it's going to be a little blood. So do we stop this and, call the police? A bunch of things went through my mind.
I don't know if you've been following the show, but when something happens to your kneecap, they put a 6-inch screw in your kneecap when something happens to it. I don't know. That's what Stephen A. Smith broke his kneecap in half, and they put a 6-inch screw in it. So that's where they probably call a timeout, put a 6-inch screw. But let me move on. I don't want to be a distraction.
Don't go there. Because I'm still trying to figure out how you shoot 5 threes in 1.5 points in one game. Jesus Christ. That's a lot of, hey man, I never did a trajectory or a math equation to get the spray shuttle back to Florida, but I know you can't do 1.5 and 1. I love 1.5 because I'm a sack man. I always take 1.5. Give me 1.5 every week. We be working around here.
Maybe that's what Stephen A. Maybe he was a pass rush specialist at Winston-Salem State, and maybe that's the explanation. That's not bad, Sam. Not bad. Let me play you this other clip from Dan Campbell. This is more recent. And now that he's in the NFC Championship, I wonder how this hits with you. Let's play the clip. What do you think about Dan Campbell after that?
Oh, no. I saw Dan Campbell in the tunnel in Raymond James Stadium in my house. And he turned and came out with a security man. And I turned to him because I saw Sirianni, too, at the playoff game. So I told them, both of them, that they were nutty at the time for the things they said. And I looked at him and I said, Coach, I'd love to play for you. I shook his hand. I said, but no good luck today. And they went out and trounced us 20-6 or something like that. I'd play for this man any day of the week and twice on Sunday. That's what you want in your head coach. You want a man that can stand in front of you in Whitlock and say, I got a plan. I know I just put you in pads and I love it. I love it because the only way you practice this game or play this game is practice this game. And I love what he said. What do we do as a defense? Pursuit and tackle. And I had a saying I always said to the owners of the Glazers. I say, everybody looks good in shorts. Let's put them pads on. Let's put them restrictor pads on, that helmet and, some thigh pads and, the little nasty short, them lasty pants we like to wear, and let's go to work because everybody looks good in shorts. There's no restrictions in your shorts and your T-shirts and 7-on-7. Everybody looks sweet. Everybody look like Jerry Rice. I love this man. I'm going to bet my money on the Lions, baby. How many points I'm getting? 7?
You like the Lions this weekend?
I like them better than not with 7 points. You ain't beating the Lions by 7 points. I guarantee you. I guarantee you. That's the Blue Plate Special of the week. Honolulu Blue Plate Special. How about that?
Uh-oh. Well, we're going to have to check with John Hadley to see where he stands on that. See what
Hadley at. Yeah, see what Hadley at. See what Notre Dumbass at. See if I get some hunting out of him. I'm telling you, this
Hadley,
this team is built in his head coach's image, and that's tough, physical, and he's figured out a way to get Jared Allen not to turn the football. I mean, if Dean catches that pick in the end zone early in the game, we might have a different game. But they wiped that one clean, and we didn't make the play, and they proceeded to control the line of scrimmage. And that's going to be key against the San Francisco 49ers because ain't no Debo. So, McCaffrey, are you ready for the challenge, big boy?
I got some bad news for you, Sap. Hadley agrees with you.
Of course he does. He's getting 7 points. He's a smart betting man sometimes.
Let me move on to my contention that the most pressure this weekend is on Mr. Jackson, Lamar Jackson. And I say that because I think he's playing for clearly what I believe is the best team this season. I think it's really an all-time great team that the 4 losses kind of cloud people's vision of just how good this team is in comparison to the rest of the league. They've blown out a lot of good teams, beaten a lot of teams by more than 2 touchdowns. Deal with the first part. The most pressure is on Lamar Jackson. If he does not get it done, get to the Super Bowl this year with this team, it will further a narrative that, he struggles in the postseason.
Oh, that would definitely further the narrative, no doubt about it. But I don't think he feels any pressure. I really don't. I really believe the great state of Florida put you on the stage in this great game of football that we enjoy it. I mean, this kid went to Louisville and put up 50 touchdowns. I mean, everywhere he's went. I mean, you see his highlight tape in high school, and you almost like that's a grown man playing with kids. And now with this football team around him, it ain't on him no more like that, Whitlock. He can drop this ball off. That's Zay Flowers, boy, hitting that L1 button and that R2 button. Boy, that boy's some kind of shifty, boy. I mean, he has the weapons around him. I mean, and that defense, do you remember the number 1 pick, Jadeveon Clowney? Jadeveon Clowney and Justin Mamaduke or whatever, Mabuke or something like that his name is? Matabuke? Is Matabuke? Yeah, Matabuke or something like that. That's the game. If Kansas City can't block them, it's going to look like Pat Mahomes down in Tampa when he was running around trying to throw the ball in that 31-9 Super Bowl that they lost. That's the kind of defense that he's facing this week. If the Kansas City rebuilt offensive line ain't ready for that challenge, this one's over. And then Lamar then will just do their thing because Kansas City defense ain't that. Nah. No.
You're suspicious of Kansas City's defense.
What? Name me 2 DBs in Kansas
I am
City.
too. I think you can run on them, but I want to hear your explanation.
Definitely you can run on them because Chris Jones only shows up to play when he wants to play. And then once you get that going, you can get to the linebackers. And come on. You can't name me a DB. You can't. And you lived in Kansas City for a long time. Huh?
Snead gave up his first touchdown last week, all year.
There it is, Snead. Now name me number 6 and the rest of them.
Oh, wow.
Exactly. Exactly.
What do you mean,
I can't
TJ?
either.
Why are you saying you can't do it? You're a wide receiver. You're supposed to know that. State of Missouri, I got TJ Moe sitting over here. He's supposed to know that.
What up,
cheat and use Google?
What's up, Sap? I don't know any of the names of but I will tell you, I know the name Chris Jones, and he spends a lot of time wreaking havoc back there in the pass game.
I'm going to send you a video after.
Now, you moved into Sap's area of expertise.
Yeah, he done went down to 4 feet and under. He knows better. He knows better. He knows better. TJ, I'm gonna send Whitlock a tape for you, and you're gonna watch it, and you're gonna be like, no way.
So wait, I
Trust
thought
me.
you were a Chris Jones fan. You're not?
No, I love
No,
Chris
he's been
Jones
pretty
to
consistent.
death. The last two messages I have to Chris Jones is, what the hell was I watching last night? And that is a gold jacket play. The play that he made in Buffalo when he caught Josh Allen from the backside and hacked the ball out, because if he doesn't, they're going down. They're going down. Josh is going to score. He's definitely going to score, because the headless horseman goes only one direction, and that's forward. And so be it. And no ball protection, son. You're carrying the hopes and dreams of the whole Buffalo frozen area, and you let it out your hand again. Wow. I'm sorry, Josh. Next season, we'll see you.
Hey, I may have already asked you.
Come on. What a Belichick question. That's what I want.
Oh, all right.
That's what I want.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right, well, yeah, without further ado, Bill Belichick, are you shocked that teams aren't clamoring for Bill Belichick?
TJ, you ain't got my thing queued up over there, what I've been telling y'all for the last 10 weeks on this show. The Patriot way is
TJ's a
dead.
Belichick groupie.
I am a groupie, but also when
that's why.
we were trying to figure out if it's even worth asking you this question. We know your answer.
No. Here's the thing: you can get the Patriot way in a younger, more energetic coach in Vrabel, and he has the credentials of Super Bowl touchdowns and Super Bowl championships and games that he actually played in. You know what I'm saying? That is the thing that you're looking for. I love the way Vrabel, take the Patriot way and then implement it to the new guys and whatever. The only thing derailed him was they gave him a bad quarterback and a oversized running back that's easy to hit.
Stop it!
What?
You're not gonna disrespect Derrick Henry like that, Sap. This man is the closest thing we've seen in years to Jim Brown. Stop it, Sap.
Ooh, stop that. Don't disrespect Jim. God bless. Jim, don't roll over in your grave. Please. Boy, are you crazy? Are you mad? Are you mad? What? What, a stiff arm? Jim Brown didn't stiff arm nobody. He just ran through him. Yeah. He ain't stiff arm. He just ran through him. Don't do that, dog. Don't do that.
Hey, man.
Derrick Henry is
Mike
what, 30?
Allstat right now is rolling over in his bed listening to you disrespect the greatest power running back we've seen in quite some time. I'm trying to John Riggins then. The modern day John Riggins. You gonna disrespect Derrick Henry like that when you played with Mike Allstott? This is
and he ain't close to either. He's not close to either one of them. Their center of gravity was low to the ground. That's why they ran through people with their shoulder pads, not a stiff arm. You know the difference? Like Zonka. You talking about power backs? You're talking to a historian of the game. You're talking about power backs, go to Earl Campbell. Earl Campbell would run through you, put his helmet in your shoulder pad, and your heart would skip a beat. Are you kidding me? Derrick Henry is up and down. What? Easy to hit. Yeah, that's how he broke his leg.
Let me tell you who else was easy to hit, but couldn't be hit and couldn't be brought down. Eric Dickerson.
Oh, no.
Eric Dickerson.
The Dick from Sealy, Texas would turn the corner and he's gone. That's what that was. He turned the corner and he's gone. No, Dick's not a power runner. You can put on the tape up in Chicago when they went up there for the divisional, and he disappeared in the cold.
I'm not calling him a power runner. Why would you disrespect Derrick Henry, man?
Derrick Henry, disrespect what? What? Disrespect what?
Why would you? Derrick Henry is going to be in Canton, Ohio, right alongside you.
What?
Yeah, I'm getting.
He's not even in the top 20.
Henry could turn the corner on you, too.
Fred Taylor is the lowest ranked running back that's not in the Hall of Fame at number 17. Derrick Henry does not appear. What are you talking? I think Derrick Henry is 35th. I think I looked through it the other day. It's like 35th. Come on.
I will give you credit. You check these. You got a lot of. You do know a lot for.
I'm a worthless piece. I told you I'm a worthless pile of useless information. I have nothing better to do but read. Why not?
4.7 yards per carry for his career.
What is he all-time on the list?
He's had a 2,000-yard season. He's had a 2,000-yard receive.
36.
36?
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Didn't I say 35? Did I miss it by one? Oh, my bad. But look,
he's only 30 years old, Sap. He got 2 more good years, isn't he?
Maybe not with the Titans, though.
I know.
It's hard to switch teams. We were talking about that earlier this year. McCaffrey's the only guy harder, I can remember.
You know what else is harder? Teaching an old dog to catch a ball and play third down and scan for them new blitzes that he's never done in his life. And now when teams look at you and you put Derrick Henry in the game, we know he can't catch. We know he can't scan for a blitz. So let's give him the blitz right up his conquista because they're going to hand it to him. Why else would they put him in the game? There's nothing else you can do with him. He's a classic one-trick pony. And he's easy to hit. Just hit him in the knees. Hit him in the legs. Don't let him stiff from you. Just hit him. Hit him down low. He ain't got no more bounce to jump over you.
What got us on this topic? I thought I asked him about Bill Belichick, and he disrespected Derrick Henry.
1,000 yards will put him at 25.
Because I was telling you the reason why you don't want Belichick is because someone just said it this morning, these talking heads. They want Belichick because he's going to be the smartest football person in the room in Atlanta. I'm like, Rich McKay got a pretty good resume, and they went to a Super Bowl with a guy that got his nickname for carrying a cold mug so he can hit the keg on his way to a party at Boston College. What are we talking about here? Belichick's knowledge ain't the thing. It's what are you going to get next? We know what it is behind you, but now what's next? What are we getting? And I told you, Vrabel is a much better option if you want the Patriot way. Much better option. That's what New England did. New England got Gerard Mayo, a younger guy that's going to try to implement this system, but someone who's played in the game and have the credentials to go to a player and say, the reason I'm asking you to do this is because I've been there. And like Coach say, I got a plan. Trust me. You got to buy in. All 53 men in the locker room have to buy in. The secretary that's typing the itinerary has to buy in. The lawn man that's cutting the yard, TJ, has to buy in, baby. Everybody. Everybody. Trust me. And when you got somebody in front of you, I see his face. I saw his face, you know.
Oh,
you know, I can't talk to TJ.
Not that I'm saying it's illegal, but
like, I love you too. I love
TJ
you too.
and Warren Sapp show, huh?
Hey man, don't do that. Don't do that. I just saw his face. I saw his face, and I know how he is with his conspiracy theory. What you got on the computer?
What I thought, I do believe in some conspiracy theories. A lot of them. What I was thinking was Andy Reid. You can't look at Andy Reid and say, or Andy Reid can't look at you and say, I've been there. Neither can John Harbaugh. Like there's a lot of these coaches.
Yeah.
Who can't look at you and say, I've been there, trust me. They say, I got Super Bowls, trust me.
Oh, no. I know the way there. That's all. You got to have some credential because Andy Reid started in Green Bay with Favre and the whole West Coast thing. You know, he came from that whole little group, him, Mariucci, John Gruden, all them. All them have championships. And that's what the pedigree is. When you look at Gerard Mayo tells you, I've done it on the field winning championships this way. So can Antonio Pierce out in Las Vegas. Fellas, I took down the 18-0 New England Patriots. I know the way. Trust me. That's the credentials in which you're talking about. And with a 70-plus-year-old Bill Belichick, no kids listening to that. You thinking how long is he going to be here? How long I got to do this?
If you start with a new team, you think you got him. Sapp, he still builds good defense. I had Hadley pull some stuff. They still ranked 7th in yards last year. They've been top 8 for the last 5 years. They were 4th in yards per play allowed last year. The dude can still seriously build a defense. He just needs a quarterback.
Now do me a favor and go look at the opponents because for some reason, Bill Belichick's schedule just seems to be just a little bit easier than everybody else at the top that win their division for some reason. For some reason.
He's playing Josh Allen and Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah, the headless horseman
the
and the kid, and the guy didn't think he was gonna stand up for 17 weeks. You know, just push him down, he's gonna fall, and it was gonna be over. Yeah, and the mess that's the Jets. Come on, man, he did that for years.
You know what's funny, Sapp? You know what is probably the most impressive thing, and it's consistent. As a football player, you were quick on your feet. As a broadcaster, you're quick on your feet. I can't believe these comebacks you're coming up with right off the top of your head. You know what? I'm booting you off the show because sometimes you look better than me talking. And somebody will get a bright idea.
But you will always look better writing and read. It will come out a lot better what you're writing because you're a natural writer. But you get a little caught up in this football. It's emotional for you. That's what it is.
See, I let Sap pretend like he knows more about football than me, but just to build his confidence up. But
yeah, he needs that.
I'm glad that the Hall of Fame bus and the gold jacket and the whole full statue in Tampa had done enough for it. Yeah, thanks.
Look, let me just say this. If Ronald McDonald had never opened a McDonald's, I'd be in the Hall of Fame right with you.
Was the burgers that good at the crib? I got one for you. We got to go have a Trill burger together. Oh my God! And if you're a vegan, TJ, he has vegan too. Unreal.
TJ's no vegan.
I'm no vegan.
I
look like a vegan. I'm no vegan.
Just making sure you're a meat eater. Just making sure you're a meat eater over that big guy. That's all. And what was the question you gonna ask me? And I interrupted you. I'm sorry. I didn't want to get to Bill Belichick too fast, but I had.
No, I was gonna say bye. I was gonna say I got to get to Steve Kim. He's probably hostile and mad at me right now. I'm late.
Korean Cosell.
I gotta go.
Korean Cosell.
I gotta
tell him I say what up, baby.
Biggest Miami homer.
No. Tell him to keep spitting. I know he'll Canes. Tell him let's go Canes. Not very far with Mario, but let's go Canes.
Thank you, Sap.
모두 다 빨리 박수 쳐 기다리지 말고 서둘러 Reason that I'm back is to feed you raps I see that you are 배불러 So fly
All right, welcome back. Time for the Korean Cosell. Cosell, you got to be on your toes today. I'm going to throw some curveballs your way. I'm going to start with what I've been talking with Brett Favre and Warren Sapp about. By the way, Warren Sapp gave you a shout out, said to say hello.
Really?
Yeah, of course he did. He knows you're a Miami homer. Anyway, we've been talking about Taylor Swift. And so I want to know your Taylor Swift. What's your position on Taylor Swift as a musical artist, not as a football fan? Are you a Swiftie?
Well, first of all, with Taylor Swift, some really, really imaginative AI I saw on Twitter. Very provocative. I have never seen her that way. I don't know if you've seen them or not. The Swifties, they are incensed. I'm going to say something to you that I'm being dead serious and you may not believe me. I could not name a single Swift song. I don't know a single album. I don't know a single lyric. I don't know what the big deal is. I don't necessarily hate her. But when it comes to my musical taste, and you see my timeline, it's all about, of course, the great Miss Anita Baker. You are number one forever. And for everyone out there going to her concerts, be respectful. Do not put out your phone. Just listen to the greatness. Whitney Houston. Oh, great. God rest her soul. Sade. I saw a picture of her on like her 65th birthday. Miss Sade, you are still a smooth operator. Karen White. Remember Karen White? Forever, my superwoman, okay? And then also today, you know what a great song came up on my YouTube timeline for music? Patti LaBelle. You know what? I've tidied up my point of view. I've got a new attitude. So that's who I listen to. And Latin freestyle like Lisa, Trenier, Tiffany, Debbie Gibson, not ashamed to admit it. Love them. When it comes to Swifties and Taylor Swift, I draw a blank. It's the God's honest truth.
You know what that's all off the top of his head. He's unprepared. I had no idea that I was going to bring up Taylor Swift, and he goes through his female music catalog, boom, 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 works in their song titles.
Yes.
So that may be some of your best work.
Impressive. You unknowingly know a lot of Taylor Swift lyrics. If you've been to a football stadium or a gym or you've had a radio on over the last 15 years, you know Taylor Swift lyrics.
Really? Yeah, and look, and if I go hip-hop, it's like Roxanne Shante. You know, get out the way, have a nice day. MC Lyte I like. Now, okay, today's female rappers, vomit. But Taylor Swift, I've never understood this fascination which borders on almost like this god or deity-like status. I don't get it, and how people pay thousands and thousands of dollars. She's like the white Beyonce. It goes beyond fandom. It really does. And I'm thinking to myself, we are really a nation of followers and worshipers, and I don't think it's a great thing.
Cosell, I may have to invite you on to tomorrow's show because I want to talk with Delano and Shamika about Sexy Red and what she, The Root wrote some article saying that, and they call it PUSSY rap. And, is she destroying music and she's destroying the black community? And we may need to tap into your,
all right, couple things.
Encyclopedic knowledge of.
Okay. All right. So a couple things. Make it early because I'm having my monthly lunch with Larry Merchant. But think about how far we have come and devolved in America. We once went from UNITY to PUSSY. What? I don't look at that as progress. I know I'm an old guy. I am now that guy telling people, stop skateboarding on my lawn, or you kids get out of here. I'm officially that guy. And you know what? I had to have it no other way. I'm not changing.
UNITY, for those of you that don't know, that's a Queen Latifah song. Yeah. Who you calling a bitch? It's a great rap song. It's back actually when I used to like Queen Latifah before she became this woke
woman
queen. The Equalizer or whatever. But so I got to give you, man. I mean, I could not do that, and I was deep off into the rap world and friends with a lot of rappers. I could not do that. Let me move you into the sports lane after, spending all that Taylor Swift time. I want to stay in your area because I got to change things up a little bit. I want to stay in your area of expertise. And this is really in your area of expertise. And take as much time as you like because I think this is important. Nick Saban retired. Yes. And Jim Harbaugh just joined the Chargers. That leaves, in my opinion, Deion Sanders as the face of college football. Deion Sanders, the face of college football. Good thing or bad thing?
Boy, I want to disagree with you, but now that I think about it, in terms of coaches, whether they are iconic or not, when it comes to their profile, and when you think of a school, like every time I thought of Joe Pa, I thought of Penn State, right? Bear Bryant, Alabama. I can't completely disagree, but I do think there is this dynamic. When Colorado is winning, as they did through most of September, yes. But as they come back down to earth and lose a few games, and then it fades away. So it's almost like a novelty. But Jason, I told you this a couple of months ago. I did not want Jim Harbaugh to leave college football. And I think he has to because there are some NCAA violations coming up to Ann Arbor. So I think it's almost like an escape path, much the way Pete Carroll went to Seattle from USC. But Jason, we are losing our traditions and our personalities in college football, where you associate either mascots or certain players or the colors, and certainly the coaches. And this is one of the things that is really unique and that I love about college football specifically. When you have a great, iconic coach, you start to root against that man, and you start to make fun of them. You start to make signs. You make chants up against them. That's part of the fun of college football. That does not exist in the National Football League. And yes, Jason, I really believe Harbaugh and Saban were two of those guys that anytime that they were on the sideline, even though they were not players, if you did not like them on the days that they lost, which were kind of rare, it felt like a national holiday. And now we're losing that. And I find that to be a shame.
I want to marinate on this topic because important may be not the right word, but it's significant for things you just talked about. And TJ, I want you to jump in here as well. The just what you said, Saban, fun to root against him, fun to make fun of him, fun to hate Alabama, Dabo Swinney, fun to root against him, right? He's still there. Jim Harbaugh, I've had a shtick for 10 years or 8 years or however long he came back to Michigan of like, long live Brady Hoke, because Brady Hoke was a friend of mine. He's former Ball State football player. It was a shtick, but me trolling Jim Harbaugh and, wanting him to win a championship, it was fun. Mm-hmm. And so just think of who I just rattled off, Harbaugh, Saban, Dabo. You could have fun and mock those guys, and no one thought anything.
Yep.
When Deion Sanders becomes the face of football and you mock him, now all of a sudden you're racist.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can't do it. Again, just think how people melt down because I criticize Deion Sanders. And again, did I focus more on Deion because he got so much attention? But like people are completely unaware that for the entirety of Jim Harbaugh's tenure at Michigan, I criticized him about his recruiting shtick and a bunch of other stuff he was doing. Where I'm like, he's doing too much, criticizing for bringing Colin Kaepernick on campus, blah, blah, blah. You criticize Deion, and now you're racist. And I'm going to go a step even further. I'm going to widen it up just a little bit more. College basketball. Who's the coaching face of college basketball right now? And somebody might jump in and say Bill Self. Someone might. But the real answer is, go look at the commercials. Don Staley is getting more commercials and being promoted as the face of college basketball coaching more than anybody else. Mm-hmm. They would have her out there with Coach K the same way they'd have Deion out there with Nick Saban. And so, Don Staley, you criticize her, you're a racist. And so the whole dynamics of fandom is being changed and the sport's becoming less interesting and more politicized. I think Harbaugh and Saban exiting, and I haven't even brought Danny Kanell's tweet into it yet, but just deal with that. The fact that Deion's the face of college football, but unlike all the previous coaches, you better not criticize him or make fun of him.
It is interesting. I guess during my college years, Nick Saban won 3 out of the 4 national championships the 4 years that I was in school. So he was obviously the face at that. He was just ascending, 2009, after he came back. But we didn't think to ourselves, you're the face of college football, or here are the. It wasn't so much about the coaches; it was about the teams and your teammates and all. And that has all changed. I mean, we've been talking about this. You don't know who's going to be in the locker next to you mid-season or next year, and it's destroying that. What this has done. And this, I think, is what you're getting to with the start. Jim Harbaugh and Nick Saban want nothing to do with this. Gary Pinkel would never coach in this era. You go look at the coaches from 2010. I was looking at a bunch of them up. I don't know if I have them pulled up here anymore. But Harbaugh's like Chip Kelly, I think, totally different game. And you see he's trying to argue for a totally different system now, or to change the conferences. He's like, we're leaving. We got kids traveling across America to go play because it's all about money. You think it's good for the UCLA women's volleyball team to now be going to play in Maine or Ohio? It's just, they've destroyed it. And I think what it's done is the competitive advantage for being a great coach, somebody who could command a room and teach principles and do everything that a coach once did, that's all gone. Now it's all about best salesmen. And these guys who spent their lives trying to be great football coaches don't want anything to do with that.
Jason, you brought up basketball. About 2 months ago, I read a book about the history of the Big East. Very well done. Brought about some great memories growing up as a child of the 80s when the Big East was the conference. But every coach mattered, and they were a personality. And I mean, John Thompson, Louis Carnesecca, Rolly Massimino, a young Rick Pitino, upstart Jim Calhoun. And they kind of reflected the values of the program. Jimmy Boeheim, the biggest whiner ever, but respect to him. And they all kind of loved and hated each other. And it was great because the student sections could not wait for these schools to come in because they had certain chants. They taunt the coaches. And mostly it was in good fun. You go back to the 80s, really the golden age for me. Miami, Notre Dame, the Catholics versus convicts. I remember Notre Dame fans had a nickname for the great Jimmy Johnson. It was highly disrespectful, but it was funny. They used to call him Pork Face Satan. And other schools used to call Jimmy the warden, because I guess some of our players may have had some issues. But it was all basically, I don't want to say it was in good fun, but it was funny. And I miss guys like Steve Spurrier of the hated Gators. I mean, he just called some old ball plays, but he would just zing teams. He would say stuff like, well, you know, you can't spell Citrus Bowl without UT, and all of Tennessee would just hate him. It was the funniest thing. And everywhere Steve Spurrier went, you weren't just rooting against the Gators in the fun and gun. You wanted to beat Spurrier, and Spurrier seemed to enjoy it. And then during the segment, Jason, now that Harbaugh and Saban have departed, who is that coach that you really hate and you want their team to lose? It's not Steve Sarkisian. He's kind of a nice guy. Maybe Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin is a polarizing figure. He's one of the people. Yeah, but are they
Deion's the guy people are rooting against?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
people are still rooting against him.
I agree, but after your fifth loss, you're like, okay, we'll just, and you don't care. You don't
people root for the six. Trust me, I did it.
You did. And by the way, one last thing here. I'm not so sure you were sticking it up on Harbaugh. Yeah, trust me, folks.
No. Some of it early on was legitimate in terms of like, hey man, y'all anointing this dude and he hasn't done it yet.
And he hired a woman to go to. Yeah. We got after Harbaugh a few times.
Yes. Yeah.
And, fine
but
coach.
Yet no one pays attention because he's white and that's perfectly fine.
There was no shtick in us criticizing Colin Kaepernick walking around the street. I don't think it was manufactured.
But I mean, for years. I mean, his first 3 or 4 years, I think he struggled a little bit against Ohio State.
Yeah, it was like 0-3.
Yeah, and I just started, hey, cut it out. I think this guy's good, but let's let him win some stuff. Me and Cowherd used to debate it because Cowherd's a big, and he's right. Harbaugh's great, but me and Cowherd and I think Jason McIntyre, he was a big Harbaugh guy, and I was like, I like Harbaugh. I just want him to prove it. And man, I'm telling you, what's about to happen in college football, it's fascinating that we're going to install this idol, Deion Sanders, as the face. He hasn't proven it. Great. He won in the SWAC or whatever when he had so much more talent than everybody else. But he just hasn't earned this pedestal that he's been placed on. And not only are they placing him on a pedestal, they've illegalized criticism and the mocking of him. And TJ, this is where I want you to go here, or I want to remind you of like the University of Missouri, and this applies mostly to basketball, but they had the Antlers. Mm-hmm. And you went to that arena knowing they were going to clown suit the other team. Mm-hmm. That's all been illegalized in this safe space era we've created. You can't mock the other team. You can't mock the coaches. You can't. Everything's, it's like the fun of being, and I'll rope slightly, because I don't want to distract us from the college aspect, but it's just like, this is what so irritates me about Luka Doncic is having fans kicked out of arenas. We're going for this. Fans are going, this is all a good thing. You can't make fun of Deion. You can't do this. You can't do that. The players, you must throw rose petals at them. And if you tell a player, hey, you look tired, get your ass on a treadmill, they can kick you out of the arena? This is crazy.
Well, part of the reason the players won't go along with it is because they want to play for Deion next year in that transfer portal. That is, I'm telling you, some of these guys on these schools, they play Deion in its little tryout. This whole, the transfer portal, we've been talking about this for 2-3 years now. The transfer portal is the worst possible thing. These guys are walking over to the coaches and saying, hey man, keep an eye on me today. I mean, we're in a really destructive time. And then the amount of things now we've seen with Rachel Richardson, right? You're afraid to say anything in a crowd. What if it gets misconstrued? What if you don't say anything like what we saw with her? I mean, we're in such an era of political correctness and now victimhood that everybody's afraid to go out and have fun. And it's sit back here and hope that nobody picks on you.
TJ, I actually think the transfer portal was okay, but when you don't put restrictions on sitting out, and then basically now you're saying you could transfer a couple of times, that's where it just completely spun out of control. And I came from an era, I forgot what player it was, but I remember in the 80s, there was this basketball player that got accused of stealing a pizza. I guess he ordered a pizza, took the pizza from the delivery guy, and then slammed the door. It became a little bit of an issue. So the next road game, I think it was in the ACC. So the player didn't get suspended. So they announced the guy's name, and as soon as he starts walking out with his team or running to his teammate, the whole student section had empty pizza boxes, and they threw them on the court. That was when America was a serious country. That's when we had fun.
I'm just Steve. You're the hardest core college football fan that I know. You love college football, and you're a fanatic.
I was,
and I know
I was.
Yeah, and so okay, you're less so.
Yes. Here's the thing. During the season, I'll go on these Miami Hurricane Spaces. I'll converse with people about the games. But right now, even with recruiting and specifically with the portal, I find it to be way too much. My attitude is now, talk to me after spring practice, because this is what I find ridiculous, TJ. You could actually now go through spring ball, and then right after the spring game, put yourself right back in the portal. So now you're telling me that the programs and coaches going into spring practice as they try to set the DNA and turn the page to the next season, that's not even the group you're going to have for fall practice. I find that to be ridiculous. I'm all about player movement to a degree, but the fact that you can go into spring practice and literally a day after it ends, you could be on another program. Look, I don't have time. I don't cover it. I don't get paid. I'm still a fan. But as a fan, Jason, yes, I'm feeling some fatigue over this whole thing.
Can I have one more thing here? And it would be that Deion's not going to be the coach of Colorado in 2 years, 3 at most. So if he's going to be the face, it's going to be very short-lived because his kids are going to graduate and he's always just been the dad coach. And college football doesn't understand they're different than the NFL. The NFL is about the quarterbacks and the stars, and college football has always been about the coaches. So you're going to drive out all the best coaches, and you're going to be stuck here with a bunch of people nobody care about.
But Jason, TJ, can I make this point to that?
Please.
I think some of the coaches need to stay at their jobs and establish themselves. And again, it's easy for me to say I'm not the one getting the raise. But I am a huge fan of Jedd Fisch. I thought he did as good a job as anybody this year in bringing up Arizona. And I thought, man, that guy could be the greatest coach they've ever had, even beyond Dick Tomey. He's an offensive whiz. He's going places. And he has a great team coming back because that was a very young team with Fafita and T-Mac outside. I'm thinking that team can win the Big 12 next year maybe. And what's he do? As soon as Washington opens up, he bolts. So some of this is on the coaches because they're always climbing for that job that's higher on the pecking order. So it's not just all on the players. We have to be honest about this.
But it's the top coaches that are bailing, and that's my point. These guys don't want to coach in this chaos.
No. And if they have it, because again, like for Harbaugh, like the NFL is superior. You can control your roster. Oh, I've got this guy for 3 years because of this contract and blah, blah. There is a system in place. There is no system. I want to read Danny Kanell's tweet just to enter it into the record because that's part of the conversation. I should have asked Danny to come on today, but we'll probably maybe because this is a big issue, I think, for fans and for fans to finally start shaking out of it. Like they've so destroyed these systems and we're catering everything to these people at the top, and now all the players are making millions of dollars. And the fans all act like, yeah, that's great. Nothing in it for us. Everything's declining for us, and everything financially is improving for everybody else, and I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm not as a fan, and I don't care if that makes me look selfish. I don't care if that makes me look like I'm a hater of the players or the coaches, but it's like I'm still a fan, and they're destroying the experience. Danny Kanell tweeted out, college football is losing its best coaches because there is zero structure. It's impossible to manage rosters, keep players from bolting, or have any say in who you pay, but still have to worry about the NCAA. It's a joke, and if it doesn't get fixed soon, more will make the same jump. Now, I want to connect that statement to everything I've been talking about forever on this show, but in particular the last week or two, as I keep making this point about Stephen A. Smith, and I keep talking about why I've been beefing with the media my entire career. Because Danny Kanell just points out something obvious. We're having a conversation about something that's obvious. These people that are installed in the media, do you think they're talking about, like, do you think Stephen A. Smith's going to do a segment on First Take about, hey, man, they've destroyed the college football system. We're going to make Deion the face of college football. We can't criticize him. We can't mock him like we have been all these other coaches for years because, we'll play the race card and blah, blah, blah. There's no one in the media to raise up these conversations so that we can move these games in a better direction. Things won't improve. And this is an example of like what's wrong with America. The American media doesn't do its job, doesn't force us to talk about the right things. I just watched the video with Vivek and Charlemagne on The Breakfast Club, where Charlemagne was trying to get Vivek to talk about Trump used 2 words that Hitler used. And Vivek kept saying, well, hold on, man, that's not a real issue. That's a gotcha deal. Let's talk about the issue. Wouldn't do it. Charlemagne installed. And all of Stephen A. Smith installed. It's why, look, it's great for me and this show if people snap out of it and realize like, oh man, if I really want to have a conversation or hear the real issues discussed, come to Fearless because Jason and TJ and Steve Kim actually talk about what's going on in the sports world and what's impacting us. It's great for us. But the rest of the media should be doing it because as long as it's, that's independent media and the main people we've installed to control the conversation are doing their job, we never have to improve anything. We can all just make the system more and more corrupt, stuff our pockets, and screw the fans, screw the everyman. And that's, I just think we should be a little bit more outraged. And I look at someone like Steve Kim, it's like, my God, this guy loves college football. And they don't care that they've created a system that Steve Kim doesn't like, and it's turning off one of their primary fans. They're making Steve Kim less of a fan. Yeah. That's ridiculous.
I mean, Jason, let's be honest. If Miami would have gone 15-0, I'd say, God, I love football more than ever. Look, that's part of it. Okay? Let's just be honest. Mario, I'm still with you, but come on, next year's schedule, I'm going to need 11 to 12 wins. But with that said, Jason, in terms of how the media covers things, well, number one, Charlemagne's a wrangler. He's a Democratic liberal wrangler. He can't say anything else.
No, Steve, I want to give you permission. On this show, you can say Negro Wrangler. Well, I will protect you. You can say Negro Wrangler. Go ahead.
You said that, not me. I'm just a crouching tiger. Okay, just a fine guest on this great show. But the other thing is, I think there's a thing here with the media, and I see this all the time. I see it in boxing. Media members are afraid to stand on old-fashioned tradition. See, I'm like the anomaly. I'm the one guy, I'm proud to be the old, bitter Asian Andy Rooney. I actually like it. Because I'm not, because I have no problem saying, well, Steve, I disagree with you, or I don't like what you said. And the greatest retort you could ever have to someone like that and then not bow down to the social media pressure is these 2 words. Yeah, and quit. Just leave it at that. We're allowed to disagree. I'm going to have my opinion. You are never changing my mind because I got faith in my intellect and my knowledge over yours. But again, too many media members want to be known as young and forward thinking, no matter how illogical it is. So when people say, well, Steve, the players, they had no rights for years. And I just say, right, they probably didn't, but it has swung too much in the opposite direction. And we need a little bit of foundational setting in the college football world. It is not sustainable. And I'm just telling you, if you lose me as a fan, who, by the way, is a fanatic of this particular game, I cannot be the only one who feels this way, Jason. I'm just dumb enough to express it.
Steve's right. Mizzou won 11 games this year, and I was thrilled. So there is some
but Eli Drinkwitz, great job, Eli. Great job.
But I'm telling you, it wasn't the same as the 2007 team. It wasn't that team. Maybe just as good. Wasn't the same. Different experience. So, and both of you guys have been following the media much longer than I have. When did the media go from trying to figure out the problems, like you're doing now, to always protecting the elites because in this scenario, the college football players are the elites. And it's no different than the politicians and everybody. Maybe it was social media. You could say, I would not agree with this, but you and I both say, we were exploited, they could say, right? As college football players, we generated all of this money and they would not allow us to have any of it. I would never agree to that, but that is the argument. And you can make that argument for a time. Where's that argument now? Now, if anything, the fans are being exploited.
Yes.
So why aren't we making that argument? How come it's always the people who are actually funding all of this stuff? They never get any attention.
Because now, at this point, this is the other interesting thing, and man, this is a great conversation, but this is the fans aren't funding what we're seeing. Corporations are now. The NFL, NBA stadiums, the people really driving tickets and all that, it's corporations. And it's corporate investment, even if they're not buying tickets, they could care less. That's the primary money is coming from a corporate structure. They're not as dependent on fans buying tickets, because that's all nice money. But these corporate deals they've made with all of these leagues, again, 'cause trust me, the NBA has an attendance problem. It's covered up, it's papered up. Fans aren't nearly as interested, but corporations buy tickets and their high-end executives, employees go to the games, and it looks on TV the same. But it's not.
But isn't it the TV? Doesn't it still come back to the fans? Because it's the TV numbers that justify all the corporate sponsors.
The TV numbers are now inflated. I just read a story about, now that they do this out of home, that's why they keep putting out, so-and-so just set a record, most people watching. And they'll never tell you. Ethan Strauss wrote a great piece on this. They'll never tell you that, because of now they count out-of-home viewers and viewers in bars and in group settings, that of course they're setting new records. They've come up with a whole new, it's all a Ponzi scheme. It maybe 5 years from now, it blows up and it collapses and the truth comes out. But right now, as they're just moving the goalposts and taking, again, it's a Ponzi scheme. Steve, hop back here.
If you look at the NBA Finals numbers, when Michael Jordan hit that iconic shot in Utah, I think that game was viewed by about 38 million people. It's now a fraction of that. And they could cook the books like it's Enron in 2001. The bottom line is, when it comes to the NBA, they do have an issue in terms of viewership. Now, when it comes to football, TJ, I find it interesting is because we're such fanatics, and football is king. If you look at the Nielsen ratings of the top 100 shows every year, football, and the NFL specifically, is dotted all over. But here is the difference, and I'm not complaining about it. I'm just pointing out a fact. Even when it comes to a team like the Miami Hurricanes, I find myself now, with all these transfer portal players that everybody gets, I'm no longer rooting for players. I don't really have this deep tie with them, as seeing them as freshmen, redshirting, growing up through the process, and eventually earning playing time. Now you're just rooting for a logo and a uniform. It's really not the same anymore. At least that's the way I feel.
And Steve, I'm gonna let you go. I want you to be available early tomorrow because I'm gonna put you in the Sexy Red conversation. Tomorrow, hopefully, I'll let you talk about the LA Times deal. But Steve, I'm gonna let you go. The final thing I would say about any of this is, for me, and just like Steve, as it relates to college football, I was an extreme nut job for Ball State. Extreme. My entire Saturdays built around. There was nothing that would interfere with me watching a Ball State football game. This past season, I don't know if I watched the game start to finish. And I certainly didn't build if I had something else come up, I'll catch a highlight. And a lot of it had to do, we struggled and weren't that good. But I've watched a lot of bad Ball State football teams, start to finish, because I cared about the kids, knew the kids. Oh, I remember when he was a freshman and he was a 2-star or a 3-star. And I watch, who's he play for? Is it Baltimore? Or what? Desmond King, he's a cornerback. He was on Houston. Desmond King. He had committed originally to Ball State. And 2 days before signing day, Iowa offered him, and he went to Iowa. And I followed his entire career because he was a Ball State recruit that I was high on out of Detroit. And I just said, oh, man, we could have had Desmond King. And still follow his NFL career. Now, because of the transfer portal and all that stuff, I don't follow recruiting the way that I did.
Yeah.
I don't care. There's, not that I ever did this where I would admit to it, but I'm not giving away money to these kids and recruits the way that I maybe used to.
Other people might have done it at some point. It's true. Your best player is going to be at Nebraska or Ohio State, or and that may come. Mizzou has a seriously good NIL program today, but money dries up eventually. It's like, what happens when you can't afford all these kids? Are all your best players that you have one year going to, or what happens when, at some point, one of these schools is going to have a Phil Knight type who just decides, yeah, everybody's getting $1 million this year. I don't care. Give everybody on this roster $1 million. Do you know that I read this, and I'm sure it's going to be much worse moving forward, but I read 2 days ago. There were 4 college players who are making more than Brock Purdy this year. It's like, what? I know Brock Purdy's not making much money by those standards, but college, these kids are going to stay longer, but never in the same place. Like there was a really good, I can't remember what year it was, 5-6 years ago now, Wisconsin basketball team. And they had a bunch of seniors. And they were fun to watch, fundamentally sound. And I think whatever, they got bounced in the Final Four. They didn't win the championship, I don't think. But that doesn't exist anymore. We got one kid at Mizzou, Brady Cook, who's been there. He'll be a senior. He's probably not an NFL guy, but I care about him. He had to fight through it. These other kids that come in, stay for a year, you get a transfer in from good luck in anybody to care. And it's the fans you should care about, because at the end of the day, if that dries up, I don't think the corporations can stay in there long term.
All right, let's play some tomorrow, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Waiting for the countdown, coming off the breakdown, standing in line for freedom. Looking for a breakout, feeling like a standoff, nothing in life like freedom. Came in like a fighter, striking like a ladder, making all these moves for freedom. I want freedom. No negotiation, my sister, no relation. We all just wanna have freedom. Sitting on the corner, never been alone. I'll break my back for freedom. Blessed, we are living, get back, we are.